Hey, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning if you are not from India, other geographies. So good to have all of you in this session, and we will try to make it as interesting as possible and as informative as possible so that you can take away a lot of things, right? So in the during the course of this session, if you have any question, please put it in the chat box so that I will, from time to time at logical points, I will check out the chat box and I will answer your questions as well. Right. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll add a little bit to my introduction. So I am a startup founder, and I lead a GenAI, AI GenAI based product company. We've got several products in the market, heavily GenAI based or GenAI enabled. I am also an educator, AI and generative AI educator. I author my courses in a number of different global platforms, as well as I'm a regular educator at upGrad. Right, I do a lot of corporate training on AI and generative AI. I take sessions and programs for both technologists as well as businesses and different role holders like project managers, marketeers, HR, domain professionals, and etc. etc. Right. So with that, we will get started. So if I have to ask you, what's your perception or your notion when we talk about generative AI? What comes into your mind? You can put it in the chat box. Chatbots used by companies, yes. Simplify work, that's the benefit of generative AI, yes. What else? New data created, interface which will help us make work easier and faster, improve efficiency, okay. Content generator, all good answers, all correct answers. Holistic view, okay. So next question is, how many generative AI tool have you heard of? Many. Name a few. Copilot, ChatGPT. Yes. Okay. Copilot. Okay. Claude. Yeah. DeepSeek. Yes. Midjourney. Gemini. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Yeah. Right. Okay. NA10. Grok. Gradio. Gradio is not really an AI tool. Dali, yes. Gradio is an AI, sorry, UI tool. And AI programs, Perplexity, yes. AI programs very frequently use Gradio and Streamlit kind of UI libraries. Bedrock, Amazon Bedrock, yes. All right. Excellent. Okay, I think we've got plenty of tool names, um, and we will go with that. Right, so I'll start sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. All right, you can see my screen. Yes, yes. Okay. All right, that's fine. So how do generative AI work? So is ChatGPT an AI tool, or is ChatGPT an LLM? ChatGPT is an LLM. Okay. What is ChatGPT? LLM. Okay. All right. What is LLM? What is the full form of LLM? Large language model. All right. Okay. Fine. So let's go ahead. So ChatGPT is a tool. Okay. It's a portal or it's an UI. The engine behind ChatGPT is an LLM, and that is not ChatGPT. What is that? That is OpenAI GPT family of models. Okay, so model is different. ChatGPT is different. When we talk about Claude, the model behind Claude is also named Claude. So Claude is an UI, AI driven UI, and the model, there is a different model whose name is also Claude. It's named Claude Sonnet or Claude Haiku, Claude 3.5, 3.7, etc., etc. Okay, so GPT is the LLM, or OpenAI GPT is the LLM behind ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is the interface. Google's Gemini has an interface. Google Gemini also has large language models behind them, right? So, so we have large language models that is powering ChatGPT. Can ChatGPT also generate images? Yes. Now, is that the LLM, the large language model that is generating the images? Is the GPT model generating the images? Correct, Alfred. So the DALI model, and it's not the GPT model, which is generating the images. So what happens is that if you ask ChatGPT generate an image like this and give the specification, then it's another model that takes up the control, and it's DALI, the DALI model, which generates the image, right? So similarly, Google Gemini also has multiple image generation model. I think the model they use frequently is called Imagine, and there is another one called, I guess, VO, something like that. Right. So similarly, Claude doesn't have a image generation model. Claude's focus is something else. Right. Now let's understand a little bit about the construct of how these large language models work. So you provide a prompt to ChatGPT. Okay, so you ask a question which is called a prompt, so popularly known as prompt, and there is a lot of buzz going on around prompt engineering and etc. etc. The art of creating crafting effective prompts, right? So you provide your prompt in ChatGPT, and then that prompt is sent to the large language model, which does the processing and then gives you back the response, right? So what are the capabilities of large language models? What are the core capabilities of large language models? It can understand natural language questions. Does a does a traditional software understand natural language based instructions? They don't. So large language models' core capability is understanding natural language-based instructions or questions, right? What is another core capability of large language models? Generating text. So that means articulating. So comprehending and articulating in natural language is one of the core capabilities of large language models. What is the second core capability of large language models? They are trained on the entire world's data, right? Everything that is publicly available in the internet are scraped by OpenAI, scraped by Google, scraped by Microsoft, scraped by Anthropic, and all these companies have scraped the entire internet's data. Okay, their bots are doing the rounds all the time, and they're scraping away to glory, and they're capturing data for training the large language models. So the entire internet's data is available in the brain of the large language model. So that is the global knowledge that they have. So you now have a system that can understand questions in natural language, can articulate responses in natural language, and in between, it also knows everything in the world, right? So how powerful is that? Now that gives them the capability of analysis and decision making, information extraction, data analysis, content generation, summarization, etc., etc. There are a lot more that they can perform, and these are some of the things that large language models can perform. Now it seems like they are superheroes, okay? But then there is one drawback, it seems. So they know everything, everything that is there in the internet. But let's say, for instance, you also have a lot of data, a lot of text, a lot of knowledge base inside your company, right? And you want to use the LLMs and use its capabilities to do the same thing. That is, perform some analysis, perform some data extraction, information extraction, perform some decision making, perform content generation, summarization, and so on and so forth. But this time, your problem statement is that instead of tapping into the global knowledge of the LLM, I just want to utilize the capability of natural language comprehension and articulation, but apply that on my own data, on my own organization's data. Is that possible? That is also possible, right? So how do you do it? In simple ways, you can attach files to along with your prompts to ChatGPT. There are many ways of doing it, and ChatGPT is going to take that file as additional context. Okay, so you are inputting external data to the LLM along with the prompt and applying the natural language comprehension and natural language articulation. It is analyzing your data and giving you back the responses that you require from there. So it can not only tap its global knowledge that the data it is trained on, but it also can ingest external knowledge and give you responses. Okay, we'll see some examples of that. In between, there are a lot of different concepts. I am following the chat. There are tokens, there is context, there is context augmentation, and etc. Context window limits, etc., etc. So we won't have so much time to get into all of those concepts, but we will see some examples and techniques related to project management. Okay, so prompt engineering. We have heard a lot about prompt engineering. What is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is nothing but different effective techniques of writing prompts. Now, why do we need a effective technique of writing prompts? Because it seems that prompts are simple English language. I mean, I want to ask a question, I'll ask that question to ChatGPT. What is there to learn something called prompt engineering, right? I mean, let's not make a very big deal of it, but let's not make it a trivial deal of it, because prompt engineering is important because you need to understand the basic constructs or best practices of structuring your prompts. Why? Because in that case, you will ensure that you are inserting or you are including all the different components that the prompt needs or the LLM needs to perform the job you want it to perform, right? Now, if you write a flat prompt, there is likelihood that you are going to omit some basic constructs or basic information that the LLM would otherwise require, in absence of which LLM will still give you the answers, but it will be based on the LLM's assumption. It may not be specific to the exact requirement that you have. So in real life scenarios, you need prompts or you need responses that are very specific to your projects and contextualized to your project. And hence, it is important that you provide full specific context to the LLM, ask the right question, and also specify what do you want to get back from it, right? So here is a best practice of constructing effective prompts. So here is a situation where you've got a this is yeah. So you have a project, and the project is behind schedule due to unclear requirements, resource allocation conflicts, and frequent scope changes. Team uses MS Project for scheduling and Slack for communication, etc. So the construct, let me explain the construct. There are 4 components in the construct. One is instruction. The second is context. The third is question, and the fourth is output format. Now, the first two are slightly confusing. You can say this is the context. This is the information. Now let's look at it. The first part is setting the context. You are saying you are a project management coach. Please provide recommendations that a project manager can implement during the next project review to address delays in the project milestones, be concise, practical, and specific. This is setting the context in the scenario. You're telling the scenario that you are in, that you have the challenge in. Now, in the context, you notice the first line, you are a project management coach. There are different types of strategies, and there are different type of prompt strategies. This is just a basic construct that we are learning today in this session. There are many different types of prompt strategies. I mean, I think in the project management course, the actual course, we teach about 8 to 10 prompt strategies. This is only one of them. Notice the first line, which is you are a project management coach. This is called a role strategy, where you are putting a hat on top of the LLM and saying and telling, asking it to don the project management coach's hat. It's called a role strategy. So what you are essentially telling the LLM is that, okay, think like a project management coach. Why do you need to do that? There are many different scenarios in which it may not assume the right role, and it may not come back with the right perspective. You want the outcome or the response to have or to include a specific perspective, in this case, the perspective of a project management coach, and hence you are setting the role. There can be other perspectives as well. In that case, you will set the role accordingly. The information part will provide additional information to the LLM as part of the prompt. Okay, so here we are saying the project team consists 8 members, including functional contributors and etc. etc. You are setting, you are telling what has happened, and additional information like team uses MS Project and for scheduling, and Slack for information, etc. And the question is, what are the top 3 actionable steps the project manager can take in the next review meeting? So this question is what you are actually asking the LLM. Okay. And output format is also very, very critical. See, when you are practicing, you may omit the output format, and ChatGPT is going to assume something, and it'll get back in a particular output format. You ask the question again in a different session, and it may not give you back the response exactly in the same output format. It may come back in a slightly different output format, maybe sometimes drastically different output format, right? So in your scenario, if you want the response to be in a particular format, because you want the response to comply to some of the templates that your organization uses, then you have to mention that in the output format. So this is basically a best practice of constructing your prompt. Because if you make it a habit of using this construct, then you will kind of make sure that you have all elements captured for the scenario you are trying to, or the problem that you are trying to solve. Right. So Sanjay, your question is, what do you input in the ChatGPT window? Just question or just 3? No, the entire prompt. So this is a prompt construct. So this is the prompt. So the entire thing. Right. Now, Where do we use large language models in project management? Literally everywhere, right? What do you mean by everywhere? Everywhere means literally everywhere. Now, generative AI, chatbots, or like Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, they are not domain specific. You can apply them in any domain, and in your domain project management, you can apply it in any of the knowledge areas for any of the or almost any of the tasks that you deem fit. Okay. So let's say, for instance, we take some examples in planning or in communication, we have automated project timeline generation. So we'll try to create an example of that. Resource allocation suggestions, you can do your complete resource assessment and risk assessment and mitigation planning. So for instance, you have started managing a large and complex project. So you have got the scope document. Now you have to create the project plan. So your project plan is that bulky Word document, and in which there is a risk management section. Now, in the risk management section, you also have to create your risk register, right? So when you are handling a large and complex project, you may have a list of, let's say, 25, 30 risks. So when you sit down to manually create that, what you have to do is to kind of either ideate with your team and seek everybody's inputs, and then spend half a day with yourself and manually writing down all the risks that you uh, feel that they should be included for this project, right? So that's quite a few hours of effort, and you brainstorming with your team. That's multiplied by number. I mean, say half an hour multiplied or 1 hour multiplied by number of team members. So that many hours are actually spent on the risk identification process, risk ideation and identification process. So instead, your so your starting point can be using ChatGPT or any tool that you are using to do the ideation, do the first cut creation of the risk list, and you will be amazed to see how accurately it can. If you provide the right context, it will give you almost a 95% completed job, and the rest is going to be 5%. You review with your team and finalize that, yeah, these are the right ones, and we will go ahead with it. Okay, so that's another meeting summaries and action items. So let's say, for instance, you have you are doing your Scrum, or let's say a stand-up meeting, and you have a scribe who is scribbling action and scribbling discussion items on a notepad, right? Not digitally, but on a hard copy notepad with pen and paper. Right. So now after that, this person gets down to his or her computer and tries to kind of decipher what he or she has taken down, and articulate that in a proper format, and then circulate it. Right. So now that's going to be 1 to 2 hours minimum work to create the meeting notes. Nothing required. Take the piece of paper, take a camera snap, put it in chat GPT. It'll give a proper prompt. It is going to give you the meeting minutes, right? So as easy as that. So they have become so versatile. AI powered chatbots, you can create your AI powered chatbots. There are features like creating custom GPTs wherein you can create your project's own chatbot, right? Without any IT intervention, without any coding or etc. Language translation and all of that stuff, right? So these are some of the things that you can do. You can do a lot of documentation because ChatGPT is very good in content generation, decision making, data driven prioritization, budget management, stakeholder sentiment analysis. So plenty of use cases across the board. You can create your use cases of application of ChatGPT. Now, let us find out. Let's assume all of you are starting off managing a new project, right? So let's try to do this thing that how do I figure out where all can I apply generative AI, and how can I apply generative AI, a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini, etc., in my project? Let's try to find that out from GenAI itself, okay, as a hands-on. Right, just give me one moment. You see my screen? Yes. Yep. Okay. All right. So what would I say? I have started managing a project which involves developing an e-commerce mobile application. I want to use GenAI, use GenAI tool like ChatGPT to improve productivity in all project management tasks. Okay. Please give me a list of phases. And just give me one moment. Okay, so please give me a list of phases or project phases to start with where I can apply GenAI. Okay. All right, so I'll change the prompt a little bit. But before that, an opportunity presents itself to show you something very interesting about ChatGPT. Have you noticed this little caption over here called memory updated? Have you noticed this anywhere before? Did you? Yeah. Anybody can say what this is? Context. Okay. So what it is it's called persistent memory. Now, what is persistent memory? So let's say, for instance, I go to my left panel where I have a history of everything. Say, for instance, this one. Sorry. Okay. So there is a conversation that I had with ChatGPT, right? Now, when I have this conversation, the next question that I ask, will it be able to refer to the previous question answer thread? Yes. What is that called? That is called conversational memory, right? Now that memory is available only within this particular conversation. So if I go to a new thread, will that memory be available from the other conversation? No, correct. Absolutely correct. Now let's go back to this one that we started uh, working on. Now it says memory updated. This is not conversational memory. This is called persistent memory. Now, why this all of a sudden memory updated caption has come in? Because I have said I have started managing a project which involved developing an e-commerce mobile application. I have said something which is which talks something about myself, something that I do, something that I like, something that I prefer, right? Something about myself because I am the user of this ChatGPT. So if this is an important piece of information, and this is an important piece of information that I have started managing a project which involved developing an e-commerce mobile application. So if ChatGPT saves this information because it's an important piece of information about me, then it can use this information to answer subsequent questions, not only within this conversation, but in any conversation furthermore. Okay, so this is persistent memory, which is available across. Now, ChatGPT has it as a very smart feature where from the prompt, it tries to guess, is this information good enough to be stored in the persistent memory? Normal question answer, you will not see memory updated, but when you tell something about yourself, then this comes up. Okay, all right, so I'm going to change this prompt a little bit and say, now what it's tried to do is, it tried to give me the whole picture, everything about where you can use generative AI. Now, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is, give me a list of projects I can apply GenAI. Please give me only a short bullet of the phase names. Fine. So this is my starting point. So we have initiation and okay, so I'll say phases in which we can use GenAI, right? Now give me the use cases within the initiation phase in a tabular format containing 2 columns, use case and steps in max 30 words. Fine. Okay, so it has created a table. I will copy this and I will paste it here. So formatting thingy. And I will, oops. That was not expected. Normally when I copy, the entire table is going to be copied. So I'll try again. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yes. Yep. Okay. And then you say, now for planning. Okay. So we will paste it here. not in bold. Okay, this is pretty cool, right? What we are doing is we are actually finding out all the use cases that can be implemented and how they can be implemented by using GenAI, right? So what we have used is we have just said a very small context. I've started managing a project which involved developing a e-commerce mobile application. So this is a very small, very briefly given scenario. Now, you know a lot more about your project, okay? There are a lot of peripheral information or critical information that are available to you about your project. This is fairly generic because we have not given a lot of context in the prompt. So when you give it proper specific context, information, critical information about your project, it will then generate very specific use cases and specific steps within them, which you can realistically implement going forward. Um, you can realistically implement all of them. Now, imagine you have generated this and then you take the initiative of implementing all of this in your project, go back to your supervisor and say that, boss, I have done this, right? Take some benchmarking, collect some data and kind of publish that, okay, using this productivity measures, using generative AI tools, we have been able to cut down our productivity time by our project management process productivity time by say 25%, right? Now that's a saving that goes back to the company, and this is going to be an acknowledgement for you as the person who has taken the initiative, right? So yes, so Vidyasagar and Venkatesh, yes, the more context we can give, um, Sanjay also, the more context we give, the better answers that you get, the more specific answer. So let's say, for instance, we haven't said whether we are using PMP or Prince2. We haven't said that whether we are using Agile or Waterfall. None of those are given. So the information that we got back is generic. So what I'm saying is that for your project, you will give very specific information, and as a result, it is going to give you back specific steps, I mean, specific use cases with specific steps, and that you can use to implement them, right? Right. So this is one use case. Now let's take one um, scenario. Uh, okay, so this is our scenario. So this is a bit more specific. Nevertheless, I mean, I have generated this also using ChatGPT, saying that, okay, I have a demo like this, and please create a project scenario for me, and it should contain this information. So we've got this e-commerce mobile. So this is like a small version of a scope document. Project scenario is e-commerce mobile application development, shop smart mobile app, client, project objective, business goal, in-scope features, user registration, product browsing, product details, and everything, shopping cart, payment integration, order, notification, and etc. etc. So you have got, sorry, out of scope features, your stakeholders, project timeline, and technology stack. Right. So what if we want to create a project planning, resource scheduling, etc., etc. So the heavy lifting from this document, right? So So I've attached this document, and I am going to say attached is a scope document of the project I am starting to manage. The start date is 1st of April. Please study the document and give me a project schedule with detailed work and detailed task breakdown under phases mentioned in the document. Yeah. Under phases mentioned in the document. Okay. The output should be tabular and should contain the following columns. What columns do we want? We want task ID, phase task name, yeah. Let's see what it comes back with. Now, just as we experiment with ChatGPT with our prompts and etc., ChatGPT also keeps on experimenting with multiple different answers. So here, it has given me two outputs, and it is asking me to choose which one should I prefer. Okay, let's see, let it complete. Mm. It's taking a bit of time, but that's okay. All right, okay. So can you tell me what's the difference between these two outputs? This one and this one? Date format. Anything else? There's a stark difference. It's there in front of you. Agile and waterfall. Excellent. Agile and waterfall. So the left-hand side, this one is a waterfall planning, and the second one is a sprint planning. So a sprint-based agile-based planning, right? So now I can choose any of them. So let's say I would say the waterfall is my preferred method, right? So Are you happy so far? Can you work with this as your input and go ahead and do your remaining planning? Are you happy with this? I'm not happy. So I would say, please, sorry, where is that? Okay, please add, please do resource allocation and add a column for dependencies. Please ensure resource leveling has to be ensured. Use resource names as, and you can see that we have this section in the document that we have attached, and it has got the phase names, and our output also has the same phase name. So it has studied the document and it has broken it down into phases and tasks based on what is given in the document, right? So now we also have the resource names, right? So we have technology stack, front end, and etc. etc. And somewhere there is stakeholder, UX designer. All right, okay. Yes. So it's resource names as Dave one. All right. So Dave one, UX one, etc. Fine. Let's see what happens. Okay. So Alika is asking for to create a graph. Okay. So I assume that you're meaning a Gantt chart, right? A Gantt chart from this schedule. Okay. All right. So thank you, Alika. We will see what we can do if possible. Right. Is it good enough? Anything else that you want? So we've got our start date, end date, resources, and dependency, and task ID, etc. All right. I'm still not happy. Please create a. I want an Excel sheet. So if I have an Excel sheet, I can import into MPP. If you are using MPP, can you import an Excel sheet into MPP? And this is something that you can work with. This is the this is a data that you can easily import into MPP. Okay. Divya, how much time do we have?
We still have 35 minutes.
We have 35 minutes. Okay, fine. I mean, for my part, 35 minutes, right?
No, for your part, it would be 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Okay, fine. So we've got this Excel sheet. There's a link that it has created. So I'll click on this. And has it created this Excel sheet somewhere? Yes. So this is the Excel sheet that it has created. Let's figure out. Yo, this is cool, right? So now you can take this and import it into your MPP. There you go. The job is done, right? Now you want a Gantt chart, is it? All right. Let's ask ChatGPT. Can you create a Gantt chart with this schedule? Just ask. Whatever you want, just ask. So Rainy is asking, any open source GenAI can do the same? No, the features are not quite the same. Whatever we have done before the Excel, most of them can do. But the capability to create Excel is not there in all the GenAIs. It's there in ChatGPT, and I'm not too sure about GenAI. Sorry, Gemini, Claude. It cannot create. Plus, the DeepSeek will not create. The other GenAIs, not really. Okay, Claude will not create, etc. Even this Gantt chart that we are seeing over here is something that most of them will create, but in varied different type of quality. Perplexity, possibly not. I have not tried Perplexity. I think it cannot, but check it out. So Sanjay is asking, why is it reverse chart? Beats me. I don't know. It has assumed. Can you reverse it? Start from the beginning at the top. Just say it. So it's like you are asking your friend, please give me the Gantt chart. Now the guy goes home and creates a Gantt chart. He would create the reverse one, gives it to you. You didn't tell me that I have to start from the beginning. I thought you are interested in seeing the final results. So I started from the final results. I mean, the final delivery, right? So that's going to be the answer. So, so that's why you see in our prompt thing that we have said, the output format is very, very important. And this is why it is important, because LLMs assume a lot of things. If you don't specify, it'll assume. And if you don't want it to assume, specify. Okay. If you can work with any format, don't specify. If you have a specific format in mind, even as obvious as starting the Gantt chart from the beginning, you need to specify. Okay. All right. So now imagine if the responses, the structure of the response, the quality of the response, the veracity of the response, all of these are so unpredictable from the LLMs. LLM to LLM, it differs. Prompt to prompt, it will differ. The same question within the same LLM, it will differ. You are asking the same question, somebody else asking the same question at the same time, it will differ, right? So always be very specific. Happy now with your Gantt chart? So all these things you can create, right? So obviously you may not want your Gantt chart to be created from the LLM. I mean, if you want, fine, it can create. But if you are using MPP, your MPP is going to create the Gantt chart anyway, right? Can you please mark the, what should it mark? Critical path. Let's see. Yes, you can download that. Can you export this Gantt chart to your local drive? Yes. Just copy the image and download it. Okay, so here's your critical path marked in red. So here it used different ones. I don't know whether this is correct. So I don't know if it is correct, because there seems to be a gap in timeline normally, but it could be correct. Okay, so one other thing is that human in the loop is very, very important. You are generating output from generative AI, but you never assume that you are getting the correct result. Okay, so if you are creating your a Gantt chart, definitely review it for correctness. Okay, do not take it as face value. Now let's do something else, and we will use Claude. Okay, so this is another one. These guys are kind of, we, I mean, we mean business kind of guy. They are focused on solid stuff, like solid business stuff. Like they are super cool in data analytics. They are super cool in code generation, right? So these are some of the um, uh, key strengths of Claude. Okay. Now let's take a agile experience. I've got, so a burn down chart. Okay, in agile, there is something called burn down chart, right? So what is a burn down chart? You start with a certain number of story points that you need to deliver during that particular sprint. And then every day you have a planning as to how many story points will be remaining at the end of that day, right? So let's say, for instance, I have 20 days in my sprint. I mean, normally you would have 3 weeks or maybe sometimes 4 weeks, but I have this sprint where we have 20. You can see my data, right? I have 20 days in my working days in my sprint. And these are the deliverables. Okay. Now I have this column called planning remaining points, planned remaining points. So we start with 100 story points at the beginning. And then at the end of the second day, we should have 95. At the end of the third day, we should have 90. And this is our burn down planning. We are now at the end of the 14th day. Yes, you can understand the data. We are at the end of the 14th day, and team have been working. And this is the planned number of story points in your burn down planning. And these are the actual ones. So I should, at the end of 40, what is that? 14th day or 13th day, I should have had 35 story points remaining, but it's going a little slow and we actually have 41 story points remaining, right? So these are the planned number of story points remaining, and these are the actual number of story points remaining in the middle of the project. Out of 20 or 21 number of working days, we have finished 14 of them, right? This is our data. Fine. So if this is our data, we want to create the burn down chart. Now, how will the burn down chart look like? Can you draw a sample sprint burn down chart with a planned line and an actual line? How does it look like? Let's see. Okay, so this is the planned line, which seems uniform, and this is the actual line. So this project has completed. So it was running slow, and finally it caught up. So these dots are the number of at the end of each of these days. So along the x-axis, you have the number of days. So in this particular sprint, there are 10 working days, and in our case, we have 20 working days. So this project has finished. Our project has not finished. Out of 20, we have finished 14 days or 13 days, right? And these are the number of story points remaining at the end of each day. And of course, at the end of the project, it should come down to 0, ideally. And for the planned as well as the actual, it has come down to 0. Now for our data, let us draw the burn down chart. Okay, so let's ask Claude, where is our burn down? Just give me 1 second. Burn down planning. Okay, this one. And give it a prompt. Please draw the burn down chart from this sprint data. Should have the okay. So Harshita is, while this is working, Harshita is asking what are some of the AI tools besides ChatGPT. So I'll write down the names of some of them. So Claude is one, Gemini is another one, DeepSeek is another one, Rock, Elon Musk, another one, Kimi AI, Kimi is also name of my dog, is another one, Perplexity, Perplexity is another one. What else, guys? QN, Alibaba, another one. Manas, not Manas, Manas is another one. So these are some of them which are kind of doing rounds. Okay. So this works. Now we've got the sprint burn down chart from Claude. It has created the planned line and it has created the actual line. And it shows the, and if you hover your cursor on the on this, it also has the explanation of the data. Okay, day 11, planned 40 points, actual 45 points, etc. Right? Day 14, planned 30 points. Right, just 1 second. Planned 65 and actual 69. Okay. Now let's check out our data. So day 5, actual 78, planned 75. Actual 78, day 5. Yeah, so this is fine. So this is the data that it has taken, right? So what happens is that while it creates this burn down chart, it creates it in an HTML. So it has got all this hover kind of thing, all this beautification, everything is there. Okay. So that's burn down chart. Okay, sorry. Vidya Sakar, good question. Some of the features are paid features. Say, for instance, no, I think most of the features that I have shown till now in ChatGPT and Claude, you can use that too. I mean, using free tier. I have paid tiers from ChatGPT and Claude as well as Gemini. But I think most of the things that I have shown till now, you can have it too. Okay, so let's see what else can we learn. Um, okay, let's do something. Another one pretty cool. So give me 1 second. Ah, okay, let's create our chatbot. Okay, so there is a feature called, so let's take a scenario. So the scenario is that you've got your project plan and you sometimes have to refer. Your team lead has to refer, your auditor has to refer, and etc. So some of the people have to repeatedly. We will take a couple of yeah. So we'll take the last 5 minutes and show this example. So yeah, so your scenario is that you have your project plan, which is a bulky document, and you sometimes have to refer to it because of various sections you want to refer. And as a result, you have to, every time you have to refer to some information in the document, you have to uh, open the document and go through it, find the section, and etc. Okay. And then you also have to articulate the information or write down manually the information that you are looking for and that you want to use somewhere else, right? So instead, if you have a chatbot which has the project plan document as a knowledge base and you can ask it questions, right within ChatGPT. Okay, not by just attaching the document, it becomes a, it remains as a chatbot which your other friends can also use, your other colleagues, team members can also use, right? And you just ask a question from the project plan and it'll answer. So the feature that we are going to use is GPT or custom GPT. Don't confuse it with the, it's a feature and it's not the model, nothing to do with the model, the GPT model. Okay, it's called, the feature is called the custom GPT. So here on the left panel, you have this option called Explore GPTs. So I clicked on that. I have come to this page. I click on Create, and then I will go to this Create, and I will say, okay, so first I'll show you a project plan document. So I was searching for a sample project plan document, and I've got it from the internet. Why this is available in the internet, I don't know. but it is available. We are not using the data in this document. We are just using it for our custom GPT practice. Okay, so it has got a executive summary section. It has got a objectives, constraints, assumptions, scope overview, business scope, phase-wise budget overview, project team, okay, project schedule, and all of that stuff, right? So this is our knowledge communication plan, etc. So we'll go back to our custom GPT portal and we'll say you are a custom GPT chatbot with a project plan document as your knowledge base. Users will ask you questions and you need to answer them from the attached knowledge base project plan. That's all. You can make it very specific, sophisticated, etc., etc. But we will do it quickly. So we've just given a simple prompt and it's creating our GPT. It's creating our chatbot. And this is an interactive portal. And it says that let's give the GPT a name. How about project plan assistant? I said that's fine. And on the right panel, you can see that the chatbot is already created. Okay, it's a preview screen that we are already having. Right, so what else? Is it doing anything? Yes. It's generating a profile picture. It'll also create an icon for you. Okay. And this is fine. And I will create it. And I will say, I will have a link which I can share with others. And anyone with this link can access that GPT. Okay. I'll create it. View GPT. Okay. So this is our GPT. We missed something. We forgot something. What did we forget? Okay, let's go back to the GPT. Go to the configure section. We did not attach the document. Damn, that was the most important part. If you don't have the knowledge, you can't answer, right? So that's done. And then I'm going to update and come back to the GPT. Okay. View GPT. You can take the link and you can share it with your friends, and your friends will be able to use this GPT also. Okay, so I will say, let's go back to the document. Let's go to the section, say model service level agreements. Okay, I would ask how many resources are allocated to the task. Fine, it should say 2. There you go. 8 person hours and involves 2 people. What else do we, so this is 8 person hours and 2 people are associated. So it answered it from the document. Let's ask another question. Service requirements team. Who all are part of the service requirements team? Hal Watson, Jessica, Susan, Matt. Is it correct? And this is absolutely correct. Now you've got your GPT, you've got your chatbot. You can go back and create your custom GPT, but the creation of the GPT is a paid feature. It's not there in the free version. So this is how you can create your own chatbot. You can create it. You can share with your team members, and everybody has got access to your knowledge base and ask questions from it. Right? With that, I